Here's the deal. For each card type, creatures, sorceries, instants, artifacts, enchantments, and lands, we are removing one card and replacing it with something better. All in all, this 6-card upgrade is less than $5. The Riders of Rohan have hopped off their saddles and ponied up a Tales of Middle-earth commander deck. Let's all get on track by going over the basics real fast before the main event. Okay, I'm reining in the horse puns before I stir up any trouble. The commander is Eowyn, Shield Maiden, a 2 blue, red, white, 5/4 first striker. If a human entered the battlefield on your turn as combat begins, you create 2 2/2 trampling, hasted human knight creature tokens. Then, if you have 6 or more humans, you draw a card. As you've probably identified, this has the makings of a human tribal deck. Not so easily identified by the commander is the strong lean into the monarch mechanic, where you draw a card at the beginning of your end step so long as somebody doesn't usurp your rule by dealing combat damage to you. With that out of the way, let's jump right into creatures. With Eowyn's ability to create creature tokens if a human enters the battlefield on your turn before combat, the deck just doesn't have room for non-humans, so the 2 and a red Gimli of the Glittering Caves is getting the boot. Gimli is a double striker that gains +1/+1 counters every time a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control. He also gives a treasure token whenever he deals combat damage to a player, and as a double striker, that will be 2 treasure tokens. But with only a third of the creatures in this precon being legendary, he won't be gathering +1/+1 counters fast enough to outweigh his non-human creature types. The replacement creature joining the ranks is the 2 and a white human cleric devout chaplain. This creature can tap itself to tap 2 other humans you control to exile a target artifact or enchantment. Artifact and enchantment hate is perhaps the place this deck is most lacking, and while I'm not a fan of loading up on this kind of interaction, having a few ways to deal with nasty opposing permanents is a must. And with all the human tokens you'll be creating, there won't be a lack of humans to tap when you need to. This creature is going for 35 cents. It's sorcery time, and we are replacing the X colorless and 1 red spell Earthquake. I understand the appeal of a board wipe in any deck, but Riders of Rohan already has Supreme Verdict, and Earthquake is just wrong every which way. You aren't rostering flying creatures, so you won't be dodging the effect of the spell, and besides, you will be churning out 1/1 and 2/2 token creatures. That means wiping the board of opposing low toughness creatures while saving your own just won't be in the cards most games. Instead, we are going to keep doing human things by adding the 39-cent sorcery Mass Appeal. The 2 and a blue spell has you drawing a card for every human you control, and that will be a lot of humans. There is card draw support in the deck with Eowyn and the Monarch as I have mentioned, but this spell will let you set up perfectly for your next couple of turns. And did I mention the list already has a Thought Vessel, meaning you won't have to discard to hand size if it's in play. Onward to Instants, where I find myself sadly removing one of my favorite flavor cards in the Tales of Middle-earth set, Lost to Legend. A 2-white spell putting a target historic permanent from the battlefield into its owner's library 4th from the top. Historic spells are legendaries, artifacts, and sagas. I truly hope this spell finds a happy home in another deck because the other 3 instants are just better, and so is Call the Coppercoats. This 2 and a white spell will create 1/1 human soldier tokens equal to the number of creatures a target opponent controls. Utilizing the Strive ability will let you select additional targets for 1 and a white each time. If you're playing another go wide creature deck, this spell's value is bonkers, but even against more standard board states, you'll be getting a helpful handful of humans to add to your ranks. Do human things. 79 cents is the current cost of the spell. The artifacts in this list are solid. Frankly, your time upgrading this list is better served in all other categories. But the formula is the formula, so we will be replacing the Talisman of Progress for the 35-cent Jeskai banner. The Talisman is 2 colorless that provides 1 colorless or a white/blue mana at the cost of 1 life. The banner is 3 colorless that provides a blue, red, or white mana. You can also sacrifice it at the cost of each of those 3 colors to draw a card. The full mana fixing is the obvious upside, and if you hit each of your land drops while playing the Jeskai banner turn 3, you'll ramp perfectly into playing your commander Eowyn turn 4, and then you're off to the races. Now that's the last horse pun, I promise. Of the 6 enchantments in the list, the spell to be removed is Fealty to the Realm. This spell will enchant a creature for 4 and a blue. This will almost always be an enemy creature, because as it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch, and the monarch will control the enchanted creature. It also has a modified Goad ability, where it attacks each combat if able, but cannot attack you. Simply stated, this iteration of the deck is a go-wide human tribal, and while the monarchy is nice, it currently takes up too much space in the deck. The addition to the list is Sanctuary Lockdown, granting all humans you control +1/+1 for 2 and a white. We got buckets upon buckets of humans. Of course I'm going to buff them up. But this spell doesn't only buff your humans. You can pay 2 colorless and tap 2 humans to tap a target enemy creature. This can be a devastating ability in the right circumstance, and honestly a strong political bargaining chip that you can deploy. Listen, I'll tap Marky Mark's Balefire Dragon that is surely headed your way this turn if you don't attack me on your next turn. Sanctuary Lockdown is only 35 cents. For the lands, we are adding the incredibly thematic Minas Tirith, replacing a basic Plains. This land enters tapped unless you control a legendary creature while tapping for 1 white mana. It can also tap at the cost of 1 and a white to have you draw a card. Once again, with the amount of creature tokens you'll be making, meeting that requirement should be no problem at all. Minas Tirith is $2.49. That completes the upgrades for the Riders of Rohan pre-constructed deck, with the total standing at $4.72. Because this upgrade is so cheap, I wanted to give you 2 bonus cards to consider. The first is the 99-cent Outlaw's Merriment. The enchantment is 1, a red, and 2 white that will give you a random human at the beginning of every upkeep. That means your commander Eowyn will trigger and spawn those 2 creature tokens every turn this spell shares the battlefield with her, even if you run out of humans to cast from your hand. The second spell is the 99-cent artifact Horn of Gondor. For 3 colorless, you will get a 1/1 human as it's played. If you tap the horn and spend 3 colorless, you double the humans you control by adding X 1/1 human creature tokens, where X is the total amount of humans you control. What spells to replace? There are 2 more creatures that don't have a human creature type. The graveyard-hating Grey Host Reinforcements, and the human-helping Dearly Departed. These are fine removals, but I'll leave the ultimate decision to you. One of these videos will be coming out for each of the Tales of Middle-earth pre-constructed decks. So if you liked this video and want to see those, please hit that subscribe button. And in case you missed it, the Hosts of Mordor video is already up, so check that one out. Go ahead, click on it.